Hi, everyone, and welcome to Chiefs Blueprint. I'm Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, along with Chiefs reporter BJ Kissel. We've gotten through the dog days of training camp here in St. Joe, and the preseason officially underway. Thursday night's game against Houston got it rolling. Now we're back here in St. Joe for a couple of days before going to Atlanta for the first road game of the preseason.
Yeah, that's right, Mitch. It's definitely exciting to see some of these guys hitting an NFL field for the first time, but there's still a lot of roster battles to unfold and work to be done before this team heads to Los Angeles for week 1 of the regular season.
Yeah, there's no doubt a long way to go, and this next month very vital. But it was exciting to see some of the young guys take the field against the Texans, and there's young guys all over this team. Specifically, though, on the defensive side of the ball, you and I have watched it now since late July. 20 out of the 42 defensive players are in their first or second year in the NFL.
Yeah, and there's a lot of young talent on this defense. We saw it in the draft, that the entire draft outside of Khalil McKenzie at the end, who's making the transition, was on that side of the ball. But the good news for Chiefs fans is the man heading up that side of the ball is entering his 19th season in the NFL, and defensive coordinator Bob Sutton.
Yeah, and he seems rejuvenated. He's been fired up at this camp. He's bringing some interesting stuff. We're going to hear from Bob later in the show, but first we're going to talk to a guy who's entering his 3rd season in the NFL. He's been a fan favorite. He's a favorite of you and me. And we're talking about Stone Cold Chris Jones. And let me tell you, there's no words. This guy is special. Just see for yourself.
First off, I'd love to say I love Bob defense. I tell Bob all the time, and man, Bob is one of the most intelligent individuals around here. And you know, he always dropping quotes on me, always dropping knowledge on me. That's why I love conversing with Bob.
Yeah, got a stack.
You know, he always giving me things to build off of, you know, whether it's 0.60 means 60 seconds. You know, it happens fast. So, you know, Bob is always motivating and inspiring me in a way. First day out, I wasn't so sure on how I practiced, and he came to me and he told me that, you know, every day is a building block. You got to learn from it. Take something from that day and build off of it. The only easy day was yesterday. That's how I approach it, you know. I have some good plays, I have some bad plays. I take the good and the bad, and I build off of it. My good, I can see what made me do so well, and I look at the bad, and what did I do wrong on the bad, and how can I fix it?
Yeah, listen, it's a bunch of young guys. I love it. I love the way the veteran players and the coaches are doing their job. Everything's not perfect or pretty, I can't tell you that, but the guys are working their tail off, and they keep that up, they're gonna be all right.
First off, I get the younger guys to sit up front with me. And you know, it's been a thing since I've been a rookie. I always sit up front, making sure I'm closer to the board. If I feel like I done picked up something, I can also share the knowledge with them. You know, I can look at them and tell them, like, you messed up on that, or you need to correct that. And, you know, we got a great group of guys. You know, we have D-Liner, we have Noddy, and those are going to be 2 studs. Mike Purcell, we got Jarvis Jenkins, T.Y. McGill. So, I mean, we got a great group of guys in the D-line room, guys that like to compete. There's positivity all around the room. Everybody want to get everyone better.
Okay, D-Liner. Okay, D-Liner.
Honestly, I actually learned how to practice by watching Ellen Bailey. You know, my first year, I was very young-minded, and for me, it was all about making plays. And I kind of understood over the years that this is about executing the defense. So you execute the defense, you will make plays. And I kind of bought into that, and I kind of learned over the years that, you know, it's not all about you. It's about a collective bargain, you know, the defense as a whole.
Most of all, we just got to play fast and have fun down there. Get the rock, man. Fam on 2, 1, 2.
I look at the game of football as something I love to do, and my personality show on the field. Most people love to take this game so serious that they actually don't have fun. Me, I'm having fun.
Yeah, baby!
You go out there at 10 and 11, and you feel the sun, 99, almost touching 100. You gotta have something to motivate you, and you know, more so it's my kids, but also those fans. When I look at those fans that done drove 8 to 9 to 12 hours away, and just to come see you practice, for me, that's huge. I always wanted this as a child, that I wanted people to come to see me. I'm just appreciative of that, and I show them that I appreciate that. I make sure I thank the fans every day.
Mitch, not only is Chris Jones an energy giver on the field, Chiefs fans have also experienced just how amped Chris can be, even at 8 o'clock in the morning as he's walking down the hill here in St. Joe on the way to practice.
As always, Chris has let his personality show here in camp, but there's something else I'm noticing this year, and that's leadership. And nobody loves it more than the mastermind of the defense who's calling the plays for the Chiefs defensively, coordinator Bob Sutton.
Ball. There you go, good, right there.
Bob, the 5 previous years you've been here, this team has been the best at taking the ball away. But you talk about a culture. How do you develop that, particularly with so many young guys?
Like we always say, culture. Culture is a learned behavioral pattern. And we think takeaways is part of a culture. So one thing we do is we talk about takeaways all the time. We always say the number one way you intercept passes in the NFL is tips and overthrows. So when the ball goes up in the air, you got to have people there. Well, that brings you to the next thing. Well, numbers always favor us. That's what we say. The more people we have around the ball, whether it's on the ground or up in the air, the better chance we have. So that pursuit and all that, attacking the football and playing the whole play out, they all pay dividends. You just got to buy in completely that they're going to work.
Getting 29 back, what does that mean to you?
Well, I think to get Eric back is, he's one of the elite players in our league. He brings so much more than the skill of being an all-pro player.
Slams into the line. The Chiefs shove him back. This is spotted at the 10. I think the Chiefs have held.
The intangibles, the energy, the effort. Those are hard to describe. He's always been our most physical defensive player here.
What about your young guys and how much do they have to be ramped up and ready?
There's quite a changing of the guard, so these are the guys that are gonna play, and we've got to do a good job of coaching them, getting ready. I'd be surprised if we didn't get some playing time out of all these guys, and it's a good group, and it's talented.
Then the additions you've made, a guy like Anthony Hitchens, you get him from the Cowboys, Kendall Fuller from the Redskins. What do they do for you?
Those were two, I think, great additions for us. As I've told you before, they're room changers. They're guys that affect the entire room. And they're going to do whatever it takes. These are pros. They love playing it, they love working at it, and we're excited about them.
Coming up on Chiefs Blueprint, the fastest man in the National Football League makes an argument to be the fastest man in Madden 19.
Chiefs Blueprint is brought to you by Park University, the official higher education partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the Kansas City Chiefs. Premier Mazda and Premier Volvo of Overland Park. And by the University of Kansas Health System, the official healthcare provider of the Chiefs and the athlete in you.
Welcome back to Chiefs Blueprint, a critical couple of days here in St. Joe as we close camp here before we go to Atlanta. But I want to ask you about the offensive line. Now, it appears like 4 of the 5 slots are set, but what about the left guard position?
I think it was one of the things going into the offseason that a lot of people were talking about because you had multiple guys that have experience at that spot. You didn't know how it was going to play itself out. You saw Brian Witzman in the past had started there. Parker Anger had got some run there. And then Cam Irving, who played all over the place, seemed to kind of settle on that spot. We saw it early in camp, and he missed a couple of days. And when he came back, he got inserted right back with that first-team offensive line at left guard. You obviously want those guys to get a lot of reps together, develop some continuity going into that first game against the Chargers because we know what that front seven can do.
We also know that you need depth at the spot. So what about that second group of guys on the offensive line and then how versatile they need to be?
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. We talk about it all the time. You have your 5 starters and then your 2 active guys on game day. They got to be able to do some different things. And if it's Cam Irving at left guard, then a guy like Brian Witzman, who we've seen work at tackle here up at camp, we know he can play left guard. He can move different things. That's obviously a valuable thing to have. And a guy like Jordan Devey, who also can play all 3 interior spots, and can move around a little bit, has some experience as well. And then you've got some young guys, some of those undrafted guys, that's kind of flashed for both of you and I so far here at camp as well.
And Parker Anger's moved around. They've moved him now to right tackle some to get him some looks. This team's never been afraid to try guys at different positions. And then what about Khalil McKenzie? I know it may be a projection, but I've been impressed so far with him at camp.
the pure strength. You see him in the one-on-ones. When he gets his hand and when he has his position right, he's winning. It's just a matter of getting the leverage, understanding how that balance and those things change when you're having a guy come at you as opposed to trying to get after somebody else.
The most interesting position battle could be at wide receiver. How many do you keep? Who stays? Who goes?
I think receiver has been one of the more impressive groups so far that kind of stood out. You didn't know coming into camp. You knew what Tyreek Hill could do. You had a pretty good feeling what Sammy Watkins was going to do when he got out here. And then Chris Conley's working back. He looks healthy. He's out there making plays. And Demarcus Robinson has been one of the stories of camp with his ability to go out there and just the physical ability to make plays. But the one thing that stood out to me about Demarcus Robinson isn't necessarily the plays he was making on the field. It was when Coach Reed was asked about him after practice one day. He said that he's learned all 3 spots and they can trust him now to know what he's doing and go out there and make plays, which is exactly what you want to hear with as much as they put on those receivers on the outside. And there's not just Demarcus, there's some young guys that are stepping up out there as well.
And then quickly, I want to ask you about inside linebackers. How much more physical is this team? And what about depth there?
I think we saw early in camp guys like Reggie Ragland, Anthony Hitchens, your 2 starting inside guys when the week 1 starts against the Chargers. But with those guys missing a lot of time early in camp, it was Ukeme Eligwe and Terrence Smith were getting the majority of those reps, which was huge for them. There was also guys like Ben Neiman and Raymond Davison that got stepped up. You're gonna hear those names a lot in the preseason. Those guys are getting after it.
Coming up, we'll take you to one of your favorite places, EA Sports headquarters, where Tyreek Hill learns the ins and outs of one of the most popular video game franchises.
The cheetah, commonly known to be one of the fastest species to walk this earth. A seemingly electric specimen that relies on its quickness and internal drive to find its prey.
Oakland's punt unit. They have to repunt now from their own 24.
This game here, to me, it's all about getting comfortable. And once I got comfortable, instincts took over.
Punt returner in the league. At the 25, puts his foot in the ground. 35, 40. Gets a block midfield. Cuts it back 40, 30. Goodbye, Oakland Tyreek.
Instincts would allow the cheetah to burst onto the NFL scene in 2016. Becoming one of 2 rookies to score in nearly every way possible. And in 2017, it was the same story.
The cheetah is loose in New England.
In late August, the cheetah migrates north to St. Joseph, Missouri for Kansas City Chiefs training camp. But when he's not on the field, he enjoys hunting his prey virtually.
Hey, 10, I need you, man. Yes, let's go. You're gonna be trying to look for my plays. Hey, Reed! Hey, Reed! Hey, Reed! I dropped the controller, man. It's in the game.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
EA Sports, if you think about the brand, right, it's in the game. And that's what we're all about, is the authenticity of what you see in Madden's world is what you see on Sunday.
Ryan will throw it to the center. This can be returned for 2. This can be points for Kansas City. It's Eric Berry. It is a 2-point conversion the other way for
Over time, we've developed the most authentic game we can by trying to stay true to what is happening in the NFL. Every year you have to figure out, okay, what are we going to do that's new? If you go back and look at Madden 93, for example, just a bunch of pixels out there. So now you get to the point where it's photorealism, where you can zoom right in and you can see all the blemishes on a player's face. So because of that, we've got to do a lot more to make them look as authentic as possible. So hey everybody, my name's Ben. I'll be your kind of tour guide for today and take you through a little bit what we do to make Madden.
Hey, see that man right here? This is where it all started back in the day, the gridiron.
I used to make this.
Where I used to make him cry. I was 7, man. In them trenches, baby.
Let's get it. Right here? Oh, this is a lot of cameras.
This is how we get your face to look like your face in the game. Essentially what we're doing.
So when you go into making, each individual player, there are so many different pieces that make them themselves. So everybody starts with the base player model. It's this kind of just core, think of it like a mannequin, right? Then you're putting them into the right team, so that would be the right jersey. You're looking as well at cleats and gloves. What do they wear? Are they Adidas? Are they Nike? Are they Under Armour? Then if they have a head scan, we'll put that head scan on them. So it's almost like a wrapper that you're putting around their face to make them look as authentic as possible.
2, 1.
That's nice. Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
My man.
right, so let's meet Dustin. Dustin is our roster guy.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
First thing I gotta say is, why am I not the fastest guy on the game?
You've done it over and over and over again. I see. Tyreek Hill, John Ross, right at the top. So we got 40s, 20s, 10-yard splits. Based on your 40 time, I've already given you a game. This could happen. I'm not gonna say no, and I'm not gonna say yes, because I guess we're gonna leave this up to a surprise. By the time of the game.
You talk about the evolution of the game as well, right? And it's not just the way it looks, but it's how it moves. When you see a guy like Tyreek that can kind of do it all, right? He has that speed. You can put him in different spots, and how much fun it is to watch how the Chiefs utilize him.
15 to the 10, 5, touchdown! An incredible play!
Like, we try to make that into the game because that's what makes it fun, right? And so we've got over 50 ratings for each player, and that's how you determine how good they are.
I was like creating like the next Madden game. You know what I'm saying? Because like it always, like obviously got to be better.
If you're a Chiefs fan, you're looking at this year's game that's coming up, right? I mean, it's limitless. And you want to see what you do on Sunday with them, bring that into the game and recreate that so that you are Andy Reid. You're the one calling the shots, and you're the one trying to move those chess pieces in the right way to get the most out of it.
What about Chris Jones? I know my boy Chris got better this year. Yeah, he got beastie.
All right, so let's have you come on this way, and we'll go take a look at some celebrations. Every player who came through, we asked them, all right, what's your signature celebration? When you score this fall, what do you want to do in the game?
What's up, man? How you doing?
A lot of guys were taken back because they'd never thought about it. It's like, wait, I can get my own celebration in the game? They were super excited about that.
Okay, let me see this.
So you catch it.
Oh. Hey, that's live right there.
And they just start freaking out because that's them. That's their move. And so you look at everything that they do, and like Tyreek with his deuces celebration, we want to make sure we first get it right from reference so we know what we can do. And then you have to figure out, okay, when are these going to trigger? What's the right situation for this to trigger? But when it happens in game, it looks natural and authentic.
As well for 21 yards. They're going to throw long down right side. Tyreek Hill over the shoulder. 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Kansas City Cheetah alert on a Saturday night.
It's a lifelong dream, As a kid, like you dream of being on Madden because you always like creating players and stuff like that. It's crazy, man. So, and this right here is my dream come true. Catching picks on you. I'm playing safety the whole game, man. Hey, Bob Sutton, if you need one, let me know. Tell Bob if he need one, I'm right here. Tell him to call me, man. Tell him to call me because I pick, man. Hey, it's crazy because it's what I do.
Welcome back to Chiefs Blueprint. Next week, the Chiefs go to Atlanta. Yep, that's the spot of the Pick 6, Pick 2 game by Eric Berry in 2016. But still, battles loom and time is short.
That's right, Mitch. Chiefs Kingdom, you still have a few more days to head up here to St. Joe and watch these guys grind for those last few roster spots. Maybe even catch a high five from Chris Jones on his way down the hill.
Yeah, Military Appreciation Day, more this weekend. It's certainly been a special camp this year in St. Joe. Last week was no exception. Let's take a look back at last week's week of work.
You red zone third? All right.
Chiefs Blueprint is brought to you by Park University, the official higher education partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the Kansas City Chiefs. Premier Mazda and Premier Volvo of Overland Park. And by the University of Kansas Health System, the official healthcare provider of the Chiefs and the athlete in you.